Alrighty, greetings and welcome back to another wristwatch video and another wristwatch review. And today we will be taking a look at a new brand for this channel, the Hamilton watch brand, and one of their most popular models, the Hamilton Khaki Field 38 mechanical, as is in the title of this video. But before we take a closer look at the wristwatch check, what am I wearing today? Well, I'm actually wearing the same watch we will be taking a closer look at, the Hamilton Khaki Field 38 mechanical. So now let's take a closer look at this watch and then come back here, talk about the pros and cons, and overall if I recommend you to buy this watch. And time to do the unboxing and review of the Hamilton Khaki Field mechanical. So let's start with the packaging as we always do. It comes in this white cardboard sleeve. However, there's nothing really on it, so we can just move this aside. And we have our first Hamilton box. It's a black cardboard box, nothing on the sides, nothing on the back, nothing at the bottom. We just have the Hamilton logo in white at the top of the box. When we lift the lid up, we get the second Hamilton box. However, besides that, we get this little booklet, which has the international warranty of the card. It is right here, so it's a 2-year international warranty. We have some additional text here, but it's like nothing special. Nobody really even reads this. But let's take the second Hamilton box out and take this one back. So the second one is a wooden Hamilton box, again with the Hamilton logo, except this time the letters are in rose gold. And we have the second Hamilton logo here as well, again in rose gold. Nothing at the sides, nothing at the back, nothing at the bottom. And when we open it up, the inside, we have again the Hamilton logo, and the inside of the box is gray, and it is this like faux leather material. And on the pillow, we get the Khaki Field watch. So let's take the watch off the pillow because we are basically done with the packaging. It's not too much. I think the packaging is pretty good for this watch, a lot better than Tissot has nowadays. Tissot used to have a lot better packaging before, but alas, they ruined their packaging basically. So this is our little beautiful Hamilton watch, and let's start with the dimensions as we always do. The diameter of the watch is obviously 38 millimeters as it says in the model name. The thickness, or should I say slimness, of the watch is just 9.5 millimeters. The lug to lug distance is 47 millimeters and the lug width is 20 millimeters. Now the material the case is made of is of course 360 nail stainless steel, as is to be expected at this price point, especially for a Swiss watch at this price point. And the finishing on the case is sandblasted, so the whole case is sandblasted, which is something we haven't seen on this channel ever since I reviewed my SNK 809 watch. Also, what's cool is that we also have this here, the drilled lug holes. What does this mean? Well, this means it will be a lot easier for you to change your watch straps. The crown of the watch is at the 3 o'clock position, and it is a side crown with the Hamilton logo, and it is a push-pull crown, so you pull out the crown to set your watch and push it back in when you're done setting it. And of course, this indicates that this is a lower water resistance rated watch. The official water resistance rating for this watch is 50 meters. And what does this mean? Well, this means that water and this watch are really not good friends. You should be aware, do not put this watch close to water. You will have a bad time. Now, the crystal protecting the dial of this watch is a sapphire crystal, and it is a beautifully domed sapphire crystal. As you can see, it's not flat, it's slightly domed. How will we know it's a sapphire crystal? Well, of course, we will use our trusty Diamond Selector 2 tool. If you want to buy this tool, a link is in the description of this video. And if we get yellow rectangles, that means that we have a sapphire crystal, we have a positive reading. So let's just put this here. And of course, we do have a reading. Now, there is another way to check this without using any tools, but if you're interested in that, I also made a video about that topic, and the link is in the description of this video. And while we're here, let's take a closer look at the dial of this watch. So the color of the dial is of course black. This is a matte black dial, as is obvious, and we have printed Arabic numerals. So we have a 12-hour scale on the outside, but we also have a 24-hour scale on the inside. So why do we have these two scales? Well, basically, as far as I understand, this goes back to the military origins of this watch, because in military terminology, at least for like Americans or something, they use 2300 hours to signalize or symbolize 11 p.m. or for example 1700 hours to symbolize 5 p.m. So for example, for me in Serbia, we already use this in our everyday lives, so this is not so special for us, but maybe it's too complicated for an average American soldier during battle to think, oh, what does to what is like 1900 hours mean, so they can just take a quick glance at this watch and say, oh, of course that actually means 7 p.m. And above every hour marker we have these triangles, and they are above every single hour marker, and also we have a printed minute track going around the dial. Now below the 12, or should I say 24-hour marker, we have the Hamilton logo, and below the 6 o'clock marker we have the text Swiss made. And that's more or less it with regards to text on this dial. There isn't really much text, it's mostly just numerals, so you can check the time quickly at a glance. Of course, because this is a field watch, this has lume in it. The lume is present in the triangles, in the minute, hour, and seconds hand of the watch, and it is in fact C3 Superluminova. Now, is the lume any good? Well, I mean, you can see it, it's there. However, I think they should have applied more because it's not really shining all that bright. It doesn't really last as long as I would personally prefer. But yes, that's pretty much it in regards to the dial of the watch. And now if we take a close look at the seconds hand, we can notice it going in a smooth motion around the dial. It's not ticking like tick-tock, tick-tock, which indicates that this is in fact a mechanical movement. And this is the Hamilton H50 manual wind movement, which is based on the ETA 2801. Now this movement beats at 21,600 beats per hour. It has 17 joules, and when fully wound, it provides over 80 hours of power reserve. And also this is a hacking movement. Now, unfortunately, we can't really see the movement as this is a solid case back, but I guess a solid case back does make more sense considering this is supposed to be like a field watch, and the solid case back doesn't really look all that bad. We have the Hamilton logo on this sandblasted background. Below that it says Hamilton. We also have some additional information here, like for example it says Swiss made, and also we have the water resistance rating on the case back. So it says water resistant 5 bar, or should I say 50 meters. And that's actually more or less it with regards to the actual Khaki Field watch. Let's take a quick look at the strap this watch comes with. So this comes with a olive NATO strap, so really going for the military theme for this watch. It's a very, very good quality NATO strap, which has these leather parts here to reinforce the strap even more, especially here where we have the holes. So this will not wear and tear easily like some other NATO straps do, because this leather does reinforce it very well. Of course, we have a stainless steel buckle, and it is with the Hamilton logo on it. Now, if you want to set the watch, you would just pull the crown to the first and only position, and then, as you can see, the seconds hand stopped, so it does have hacking. And then you just set the watch to the time you need. When you're done, click it back into position, and the seconds hand starts ticking again. If we want to wind the watch, we would just rotate the crown upwards. So let's see how that sounds. Or let's hear. So it's not really a loud manual winding like on ETA 2824 movements, which I think is good. I prefer the sound and feeling of this manual wind movement myself. And finally, let me just show you how this watch looks on my wrist. So for reference, my watch has a wrist circumference of 6 3/4 inches. So maybe that will give you an idea on how this watch could potentially look on your wrist if you're interested in buying it. And here we have the Hamilton watch on my wrist. I think it looks pretty good on me. If you agree, leave a comment down below. And yes, that's basically it with regards to the Khaki Field watch. So now let's go back to the original perspective, talk about the pros and cons, and overall if I recommend you to buy this watch. And we are back. So that was the Khaki Field close-up, and now we come to the part of the video where we will be listing all the pros and cons of the watch to come to the final conclusion if it is in fact worth the buy. And as always, let's start with the pros, and this watch has a lot of pros to offer. Of course, starting with the actual Hamilton brand. So this is a brand that has its origins in US watch manufacturing. It later became a Swiss brand, and it had its fair share of usage during important historical times. So I think brand is definitely a pro. The next pro would be the history of this particular model itself. So the Hamilton Khaki Field had a lot of military usage in the 20th century. So I think that is a pro in and of itself, besides the actual history of the watch brand. Of course, the next pro would have to be the dimensions of the watch. So a 38mm diameter, 9.5mm thick watch. These are the perfect dimensions. I think this watch looks amazing on more or less anybody's wrist. Even if you have a smaller wrist, I think this watch should fit you quite well. Of course, the sapphire crystal is a pro. If you watched any of my reviews, you should know that sapphire crystal is always a pro in my videos because it's just scratch proof, or
mostly scratch proof at least, and that is great. I think that is very useful, especially on a watch that is supposed to be intended for like field or military usage. You don't want to scratch up your watch and then you can't really even tell the time. Of course, because this is a military designed watch, it was made to be very legible, so legibility is definitely a pro as well. You have these big hour markers, they are very well defined, they are very well contrasted with the black dial. In fact, I would say the legibility is a plus even for somebody who is a bit older, for somebody who maybe doesn't have such good of an eyesight. So if you have somebody like that, this watch would be a perfect gift for them, at least in my opinion. Of course, the next pro is that this is a strap monster because this is mostly a mixture of black and white colors. You can put this on a load of different NATO leather or leather straps or bracelets. Also, in addition, we have the drilled lug holes, which make exchanging of straps even easier than if it didn't have them. So definitely, this is a strap monster watch. The movement is also definitely a pro of this watch. So you have the H50 movement, which is basically a modified ETA 2801 with amazing 80 hours of power reserve, which comes very useful. And also the particular movement in my watch is fairly precise. It runs at -9 seconds per day. Now, of course, I wish it was +9 because plus is always better than minus, but still I think -9 seconds a day is fairly accurate for a watch that is not in the upper tier, at least price-wise. Next is the finishing. Finishing is obviously plus. We have excellent sandblasting on the case, which makes sense because this is a military watch. You don't want a polished watch to shine during the night to reveal your position. So of course it makes sense that this is a sandblasted finishing, and the finishing actually has an interesting texture. When you go with your finger over the watch case, it has an interesting texture on it. The printing is excellent. The engravings are done very well, so finishing has to be listed as a pro. And finally, the actual NATO strap of the watch, I think, is a definite pro. This is one of the better quality NATO straps I've experienced, at least when you buy a watch by default. Definitely a lot better than my Seagull 1963. Of course, it's not better than an Artem watch strap or Artem NATO strap to be more precise, but it comes pretty close to it. And those are all the pros I have listed for the Hamilton Khaki Field watch. Of course, as any watch, this one also has some negatives which should be listed. The first one is the lume. I mean, it's great that this watch has lume, it should, because it is a field watch, but the lume could be better on it. I think they should have applied a couple of more layers of C3 lume to make it last more, to make it shine a bit brighter. Also, the orientation in the dark is not good because you're not really sure where 12 o'clock is because they are all triangles. Maybe they could have put like double triangles at 12 or a bigger triangle, or maybe like 2 rectangles or something like that, just to make any kind of distinction in the dark. So I think lume orientation is also a con. This is something similar to the Seiko 5 SNK 809 watch that I reviewed. We had the same con there as well because you couldn't really figure out where the 12 o'clock is at night. And the last con I would list is the water resistance. I think the water resistance is low for a field watch. 50 meters just isn't enough. If this watch had 100 meter of water resistance, that would be perfect. So I wish they could make this 100 meters water resistance instead of 50 meters, maybe add in a screw down crown or something like that. Even if it costs a bit more, I think it would be worth it. And those are all the cons I found on this watch. Overall, I think this watch offers a lot for the money. You get a very good brand, you get an excellent movement, great finishing, great dimensions, everything for under $500. In fact, I could argue this is one of the best everyday Swiss watches you can buy under $500, at least if you're looking for a mechanical wristwatch. Now, of course, there's always the Tissot Visa Date, which is one of the best dressed Swiss watches in my opinion, but I think this is definitely an amazing everyday watch, and yes, I think it is definitely worth a buy. I am very, very happy that I have this watch on my wrist today. So that's pretty much it with regards to this review. If you liked the review, of course, as always, leave a thumbs up. If you disliked the review, maybe leave a thumbs down and give me some suggestions on how I can improve my content. Subscribe if you want to see more wristwatch or fragrance related videos. And until next time, guys, have a great day and